Welcome to On the Line with Jim Pyne. I'm Jim Pyne. This episode is brought to you by PLS Aviation, private aviation, perfectly executed. Now let's get on the line. Our show today, we have a man that needs no introduction, one of the greatest coaches of all time, 18 seasons in Baltimore, 15 winning seasons, Super Bowl champion, coach of the year, and a great guy. And Coach, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Jim. Always great to be with you. And I just have to comment on that background, man. You got a lot of great stuff back there. Especially love those shoulder pads. I kind of can picture you in those very shoulder pads because you had the neck thing, knocking people off the ball back in the day.
That's right. That's right. And I say, I have two sons that play football. I coached a little last night, 13U, and so every once in a while I put the pads on just to get their first hits. I let them hit Dad. They feel good hitting me. So that's what my dad did that to me. So I kind of kept them around, just saying. I remember hitting my dad, feeling like, oh, and he used to say, if you can block me, you can block anyone. And I tell him the same thing. I'm an old man. It hurts every time they hit me, but it's fun.
That's fantastic. You're taking one for the team, taking one for the team. Right? That's good.
You know that. You know that. So, yeah, with you, Coach, I mean, one of my most vivid memories of you, too, going back when we were with the Eagles together. I don't know if you remember this. We're in a team hotel. I remember you coming down the elevator with your wife, Ingrid, and one of you had a backpack on with a baby in it. And that was your daughter, right? Allison, the young girl. Yeah, it's good times. I mean, and I've watched, too. I have a daughter who played lacrosse in college, and then she's going to New York City, actually, next leaves on Sunday. She's going to investment banking at Lloyd's Bank.
Wow.
So
Congrats to
yeah,
her.
yeah, absolutely. Great. Yeah, so proud of her. But for you, I see what you with your daughter, and I looked you up too. Were you going to be a lawyer if you weren't a football coach, or were you thinking of doing that?
That was the plan, but now that Allison, she's actually in law school now, and I saw some of the stuff she's going through. I'm like, wise decision to stay out of that law stuff. It looks really hard.
Yeah, right. No question. That's let the smart people do that, right? With the football guys, we do what we do, right?
Exactly.
But you got to be proud of your daughter, right? I mean, that's all that she's accomplishing. I look at it as, again, my daughter. I just didn't want to mess it up, but she was in sports. She's smart. She's being a lawyer, right? So to me, I see that's a tribute to you. She likes her dad, wants to be like her dad.
Well, I see it the same way you see it. Just so proud. We're girl dads, right? And we got daughters. I know you have sons too. I only had a daughter, but to see what they do, what they go through every day, to kind of share their life with them, it's a great perspective. It does change. It's changed the way I see a lot of things. Just having a girl, and especially as she came up through sports, she came up with coaches and all those kind of things. So as a coach, I kind of can look at that and say, oh, okay, what am I learning from this? And you learn a lot from that perspective, the perspective of the parent. So it's been so huge and so cool, but so proud of her. She's doing internships. She's making her way through law school. She's learning. She's learning all the things that you learn. But I also think being a part of sports, Jim, you would agree that our kids, and it can be something else too. It could be theater, it can be whatever. But you're part of something bigger than yourself. Being a part of a team, learning how to work with others, get along with others, put others before yourself. A lot of times, learning the value of that. These are lessons that are so valuable to people, any age, but for our kids, we really want to see that.
100%. And family's everything. And you got an amazing family. I know your brother Jim. Just seeing the history of the Harbaughs. Your dad was a coach. You're a coach. Your brother's a coach. Your sister married a coach. I mean, Coach,
Yeah.
what does your family mean to you? I know it means everything to me. I had a dad played and a grandfather too. But what does family mean to you, Coach?
It does mean everything. It's amazing how it kind of starts with that. I think that's kind of the way God set it up. When he created a family. It's probably a reason. We have the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and we have Mother Mary. We talk about each other in terms of being brothers and sisters in the kind of the global sense. And then yet he set this analogy up, which is the family. I mean, hopefully you're able to love your family, more than anybody, and that's kind of the goal. But you do feel it. I know personally, we have just Allison, and we wanted to have more kids. It just didn't go that way, and it's been amazing. But I never realized that you can love one person so much as I love my daughter, and it gives me it just makes me think about deeper things in terms of how we're all kind of woven together from a humanity standpoint. So family's everything. My grandfather, he came over on my mom's side, Joe Sapiti, who was at many Eagles games, and you know, little Italian, little Sicilian guy came over when he was 4 years old, and you know, first generation type of an immigrant, and man, I mean, he was all about family, and family wasn't just family; it was also the neighborhood. It was the friends in the neighborhood that came over for the events. He was a car mechanic, and he would fix the cars. I was recruiting Cleveland one year to Benedictine High School, and Augie Basu was the longtime coaching for Benedictine High School, a legendary coach. And I was recruiting in there when I was coaching at Pitt, and and we were talking, and he talked about the neighborhood in Cleveland. He was 80 years old at the time, same age as my grandpa, and he says. He goes, yeah. I go, yeah. We grew up. I go, you ever? Yeah, my grandpa. It's kind of the same kind of background as you, Joseph Petey. He goes, Joseph Petey. I go, yeah. He goes, Joseph Petey. Joseph Petey. And he grabs up. Joseph Petey was my next door neighbor 30 years ago. Joseph Petey used to come over and he would fix my car for nothing, just because I was his neighbor. I was family to him. We were family, you know. And I said, well, that's my grandpa. That's exactly who he was. So yeah,
Love that. I
it's what
love
it's
that.
all about, man.
It
It's where
is.
it
It is.
starts.
It is. You know, I've read a lot and heard from your dad. Your dad's 87 years old, right? I mean, still involved. I see the interviews with you and your brother and stuff. And what an amazing resource to have your dad, who coached 45 years. Your brother's a coach. I can't imagine. I'm in business. I have a brother, father. I've called my dad's passed, but you know, to be able for you, if you got a question, you got to am I hiring this guy, firing this guy, coach, player, this, that, this. If you have a question, right, you can pick up the phone. Not only call your dad and brother, but they're experts in the field, right? I mean, that's got to be a great value to you.
That's what we do, you know, and something's going on with any one of us, Tom Crean, Joni, my sister included, all of us. Like, Dad always gets the call, and the funny thing is, he doesn't always get the great call. You know, hey, things are going great, Dad. You know, what do you think? You know, he gets the call like, hey, got a problem. You know, this. Let me tell you what happened. Man, what do you think? What would you do here? You know, it's always when things are tough, you know, that
That's
you call
right.
your dad, and he's always got a take on it. But the thing about family is, and the thing that I've learned is like your family is on your side. Your family is, and your best interest is heard. There's no other agenda. If I'm talking to Jim about something that's going on with him or Tom or Joni or anybody, my daughter, you know, it's like you put yourself in their shoes. You want what's best for them. You know, you're going to do whatever you can do to help them. That's the beauty of it, man. Like, yeah, that's the whole point. Like, to your point is, if we can expand on that. That's a little bit about what a team's about, an organization, a business that you're running. You want to kind of have that family value mindset, right? Where everybody's got each other's back, then you can, you know, be more successful that way.
100%. I guess you can talk about your dad. What's some of the best advice he's ever given you? I know he's probably giving you a ton of advice, and I see all the encouragement you and your brother have and stuff. I love those. You know, the enthusiasm unknown to man, all that stuff. Who's better than us? Nobody. But what's the best advice that you kind of think of with your dad when you're on your daily struggles with coaching and life and all that stuff?
Yeah, you know, he used to tell us not to take any wooden nickels, you know, and never knew what that meant, you know, for a while. Then you figure out kind of what that means, you know, and that makes sense to you. He used to always say, something we'd say, well, hope something happens. He would say, and this is his dad. His dad gave him this one. It's an old Ohio phrase, but you know, like, hey, I hope we win the game. And you know, he'd say, God willing, and the creek don't rise. You know, and the creek don't rise. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, yeah, I guess if the creek overflows and floods, that's probably going to hinder our chances. You know, and he goes, no, you got it all wrong. He said, I'm talking about back in Ohio when we were settling Ohio in the early 1800s, the Creek Indians, they were the warrior tribe Native Americans in Ohio at the time. And there were relations, they were a little tenuous, obviously. And if the Creek Indians rised up and, you know, the settlers were in trouble, you know, and that was going to be a problem. So it's like, oh, got a history lesson here too. Maybe that was the best message we got. But more than anything, I would say from my dad and my mom, it was just their enthusiasm unknown to mankind. It was their zest, their incredible, just the way they approached every single day, all out, 100% into everything. Whether you're doing it, they're doing it, we're doing it. It was going to be all out. It was going to be a lot of laughs. Going to be a lot of energy. We'd maybe making fun of each other. We'd be competing against each other. We'd make a game out of it. Whatever we were doing, it was going to be all in, you know. And we would, you're around one of our one of our family events or we got friends around, it's just going to be a lot of laughing and challenges and making fun of each other. And there's going to be a contest or a competition. We do things like, I mean, the last time we were together at my daughter's graduation party, Jim found a tape measure in the drawer, the sewing drawer or whatever, and we start measuring head circumference, neck circumference, and arm length because we wanted to find out, the kid, it's like, and we found out that Grammy Joyce, which is my mom's mother, or my wife's mother, Grammy Joyce, my wife's mother, she had the biggest wingspan for her height. Now, she's not very tall, like maybe 5 feet tall, but her wingspan was like enormous. She was like twice as much wingspan for her height. It's like, oh my God, Grammy, you're the champion here. To this day, she brags about her wingspan.
Love it. The long arms, we could use that in football, right? And that
Exactly.
comes in well for sure. I tell you, to the family stuff, because I know it means everything. It means everything to me. One of the coolest things was when your brother Jim, to me, I was tuning in. Michigan was playing for the national championship. A minute or two before the game, you came strolling down the sideline. They have a big hug, embrace, and to me, that's cool. Like that means it's real. Like you and your brother are close. You're good friends. I have brothers. You compete. You're this, you're that, but you want the best for your brother. And what does he mean to you? What's he mean to you, Coach?
Yeah, just what you're saying. I mean, like we shared a room together for 17 years. We were brothers. We had great moments, and we laying in there at night, and just like talking to each other or listening to each other snore or whatever, and then arguing about whose socks are on the floor or whatever, and we used to. He was a saver, so we'd always have jobs. You would cut grass or whatever, and I was a spender. I would pretty much if I had money, I'd be at the I'd be at Dairy Queen getting a getting a dilly bar or something like that, and
Sure.
he would always save his money. But he was great because then once he would save it and he knew I didn't have anything left, and he'd have $50 or $60 maybe, he would lay it all out on his bed and count it up in front of me. It's like, look at all the money I've got, you need to learn how to save, big brother. It's like,
That's
so there's
great.
always
Great lesson.
competition. But to this day, like I feel like, whatever team he's coaching, when he was playing, when he was competing for a quarterback job or whatever it was, man, all I could do was just root for him, pull for him, have his back. You're living and dying in every moment. I was that way for Joni, Allison as your daughter. Like you watch your kids play, and it's like I know you're in the stands, just like every second you're watching everything they do. Yeah, and you're pulling for them to do well, and you got some advice for them when it's over, right? And yeah, that's how it's been. It's been that way our whole life.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I saw one of your videos where you said your Rushmore. You had your dad, your brother, and your youth coach. So Tom was it Tom Minnick? Was that his name? What was Tom like? What did he teach you that you still do today, Coach?
Tom Minnick. Okay, he was our first football coach for the Ann Arbor Junior Packers that we were on, and his three boys, Jeff, John, were twins, and Jim Minnick was my brother's age. He was 2 grades below me and 1 grade below Jeff and John, and we became like a pack. The five of us. We met at the Ann Arbor youth track meet when we first got there into town. We were all about 9 or 10 years old, and we were the fastest. We were winning all the events, the Minnix and the Harbaughs, and we were lucky, I guess. And then and we got to be kind of pals. And they're like, "You gonna play football? Our dad's coaching the Packers. Why don't you sign up?" So we signed up for the Packers, and then we've been lifelong friends ever since. And Tom Minnick was the coach, and he was also the police captain, and he ended up being the sheriff of Washtenaw County a few years after that. And he was just the greatest guy ever. And he always had great advice. But the biggest advice I remember was he was adamantly opposed to anything other than whole milk. He was a whole milk guy. And there was a time that we were sent out to get groceries, and we had to bring them back to the Minnick house. Maybe we were staying there, maybe I don't know what it was, but Jim and I went and got milk, and we brought back 2% milk, which is what we had in our house, 2% milk. We thought that was the milk. And he's like, he like drinks it and spits it out. What is this? What is this? Watery milk. Let me look at it. 2%. 2% milk. Are you kidding me? There is only one kind of milk. It's whole milk. You will drink whole milk in the Minnick household. So
Love it. Love
hey,
it.
it stuck with us. It stuck
Yeah,
with
good
us.
strong bones, Midwest, right? There's a lot of
Right.
cows out there. That's what you do,
Vitamin
right?
D.
Vitamin
Yeah.
D, right? That definitely helps. So, yeah, you're getting into like one thing. Question I have for you. I think one of the biggest things players, former players, probably coaches too, struggle with at times is the word transition, right? Transitioning from, I see guys like myself and stuff who get out of football, you play for a while, and what do they do next? And that's the thing I think the league, us players, us stuff, former players got to help former players, former coaches too. And how do you coach? Well, how would you coach up a guy getting out of the league and transitioning into what's next? Some things you do. I know coaches because I coached for 3 years too. Where's you got to move from one job to the next, one position to the next, one role to the next. How do you transition? What are some of the keys you do it with transition?
That's such a great question, and I'd love to be able to give you like a couple key things that really like would resonate. But like the truth is, like for guys like me and my brother, coaches, maybe it was my dad too, like that's the deal. We have been avoiding the transition basically. So we have ran from the transition. Like Jim always used to say, he said, how long are you going to play? He goes, I'm going to play as long as I can. I'm going to play until they throw me out. Then I'm going to try to play for 2 more years after that. Still, I go, well, then what are you going to do? He goes, well, then I'm going to coach. I'm going to coach for as long as I can until they throw me out. It's like, you're part of a team. That's how football is. You don't ever really want to let it go. So you become a coach. That's kind of, I think, how we've approached it. But I would say this, because you do think about it. But the thing that, like, for me, like my personality, I think this is something that would be good advice is whatever you do, throw yourself into it 100%.
That's
Like,
right.
don't be halfway. If you decide that you're going to get involved in it, don't be like, let me try this out and see if it works for me. That's like a pretty much a guarantee it's not going to work for you. Like, if you decide that you're going to get involved in something, whether it's coaching your kid, if you're going to coach your child's football team, then be all in. Be all in to make it the greatest experience you possibly could. Be the greatest youth football coach that ever lived. And all those kids want to come back and play next year because they love you and they love the sport and they love being a part of it because you've made it so wonderful. And you probably bought them Dairy Queen dilly bars after every practice, whatever it takes to make them happy. But whatever it is, throw yourself into it fully and give yourself a chance to, make the most of it, I would say.
That's great advice. Yeah. Another thing, leadership coach. You were a leader in the Baltimore Ravens for 18 years. Now you're at the New York Football Giants. You got the owners, the players, the coaches, the corporate partners, the sweetholes, the fans. You're leading all those people. How do you like building an organization? We'll have listeners who are running a business. How do you start? How do you lead all those people? Because they're all different groups, different people. How do you lead them?
Big question, man. I mean, that's like a gigantic question. I appreciate you answering. I don't think anybody has the exact answer to something like that. But the one thing for me, like I just kind of you meet yourself where you're at. First of all, like I'm like, well, okay, where am I at? What am I trying to accomplish here? Why am I even doing this job? And really, hopefully, you have a vision for it. Like you have an idea what it should look like. Gratefully, for me in this job, after all these years, I know what I want things to look like. Like I know what I want the team to look like, the offense, the defense, the special teams. I know what the weight room I want it to look like. I know how I want people to operate. I know how I want people to talk to one another. Like I just know what it looks like. It's like evaluate a football player. It's like, well, I've seen it so much. I know what it looks like. You can be wrong. A guy can turn out not to be as good or to be better than you thought he was going to be. But you like what you see or you don't like what you see or you sort of like this and you don't like that because you've seen it so much. So like that's a vision to me. It's like what you want it to look like, how you want it to operate, and there's principles and methods and things involved in all that. And then the second thing is to make a gracious assumption about everybody that you work with in terms of that they want to be great, they want the organization to be great, they want to be successful, they want to do things the right way. Approach them from that perspective rather than the suspicious assumption that they are not motivated or they don't want to work hard or whatever. And if things don't go well, then try to find out why from a good heart that you assume the best, and that way help them be the very best they can be, and try to just meet people where they're at. You got to motivate people. You got to hold people accountable. You got to find a way to bring out tough things because everything's going to be way harder than it seems. everything's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life if you want to be good at something, and try to impress that upon them, but that you're there to help them accomplish those things. Because whatever dreams they have, I mean, I would say this, like when you were playing center for the Eagles and all the teams you played for, you had a vision, you had a dream, you thought your whole life, and there were things that I'm going to talk to my team about this. There are things in your heart for yourself as a player, a coach, or whatever job you're doing, as a father, husband. There are dreams and hopes and ambitions inside of you that you maybe are hard for you to even tell anybody. There are also beliefs about yourself, like you believe in yourself in certain ways that you would almost like not want to share with anybody because it might not sound exactly right, or it might be stepping out on a limb to say so, but you really believe you're capable of certain things. Like, people might have looked at you and said, hey, he's not quite big enough, he's not quite strong enough, his arms aren't quite long enough, whatever it might be. But it's like, yeah, in your heart, you're like, yeah, but I can block people. I'm tough. I can knock people off the ball. I have great feet. I have great balance. I can bend. I can adjust. I can play. I'm a great player, and I want you to see that. So as a leader, I want to Jim Pyne as a player, I want to be able to say, hey, Jim, I see that in you. This is what I see in you. And that person, that player knows, or that employee knows, it's like, oh my gosh, I have a boss that's on my side that sees all the things that I see for myself and wants me to become all those things in reality.
Believes in
So
me, right?
exactly, who believes in me?
Believes in me, right? And here's another word, Coach: adversity. Right? You've dealt with adversity in your life. You're going to deal with adversity coming up. What do you do when an adverse situation comes up, or how are you going to face adversity? What any key points you do? You coach yourself. Your dad used to tell you, "Hey, tough times hit, tough times pass, tough people last." What? Any words of advice? How do you handle adversity?
Yeah, those are all the things. It's like I guess we never really talked about that. Like, but I always watched it in him. And the thing that I learned, I guess, and have learned over the years is that I think adversity is just an opportunity. It's like everybody's going to face it. The Bible, Jesus himself told us that you're not going to face anything that everybody else doesn't have to face. Everybody faces trials and tribulations. Uh, you know, who faced more than the Messiah himself. So that's written into the plan. It's just part of it, and it's not so much about. It's about the opportunity that goes with it. You might hope for patience, you might pray for patience. Okay. Uh, well, here you go. You're patient all of a sudden. No, you're given challenging opportunities that are gonna hit your weakness for impatience, and you're gonna have the opportunity to grow in your patience, or your understanding of others, or your ability to love other people, or your ability just to tough out a tough situation. How about in the fourth quarter, down by 2 touchdowns? You're gonna quit playing hard, or are you going to fight to the bitter end because the fact that, maybe a couple plays can get made and we could find a way to win this game, or just the very fact that you prove to everybody that you can be counted on right to the very end to fight no matter what the odds are against you. Though all those things to me are just opportunities. If you look at life as an opportunity as opposed to a disappointment or things like that, then you probably have a good chance to overcome any challenges that you face.
Sure, sure. Then the word culture. I read what you said. A bunch of guys who see the game the same way. How do you build culture? In a team, I can imagine. Your quarterback's a key position. You got a linebacker, certain guys and certain things. But how do you get the guys to buy in? Culture in a business, in your business. How important is culture, and how do you set it up, and how do you get guys to buy into it?
Yeah, there's a couple different. I mean, yeah, that's such another big question. That's kind of like nebulous, and like how do you do it? And it's all about relationships. But we will talk this training camp about faith, belief, and trust, and then we'll kind of talk about what those things kind of really mean. Hopefully, they're not just words. Those are some principles, and then with that is the idea of shared experience and a constant communication, so that we can kind of come to understand what we're facing and who we are together, what we believe in, because that culture is not going to be like imposed upon any group of people. It's going to be built and shared by a group of people, and they all have to believe in it. Like in our country, like if we want to have culture, like something that is something that we all can admire, and it's a good culture. It's got to be something that's got to be based on really good principles, truths that are never ending, are self-evident truths like our Constitution talks about. Then we have to share experiences to build something that's worthwhile, together. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to do that as a team. We're going to try to build something that's worthwhile, something that we can all be proud of, that we can stand for, and we got to believe in it, and we can't be told about it. We all got to build it together. Because so I got to hear what you have to say, what you have to say, what you have to say, how you think, how you see it, how do you see it? We're all talking together. And at some point in time, along with all the challenges that we face, we come together and grow, and we become basically, like you had talked about before, a family. And then we do share something that we can be proud of, and that kind of becomes our culture.
One of your quotes: "Days are long, but the years are short." What do you want the next generations of Harbaughs to remember you as, Coach John Harbaugh? That's a
I
good.
don't know. That's a great question. I love that. I love it. I love it. I do believe what Maya Angelou said. I heard that quote many years ago, and it just hit me so much. People don't remember what you do or what you say; they remember how you make them feel. Right? I see you shaking your head, Jim. You've heard
Yeah,
that one.
it's a great one. It's a great one.
Yeah, I think that's true. I want people, like, maybe someday, hopefully, they'll think about me and they'll smile inside. Go, just kind of smile inside and go, okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, it's a good feeling like that. I'm in a business. I take care of people, logistics and stuff. Like you said, I remember where you went. This, that, how we made you feel. I tell my people that work with me that we want everyone to feel good, feel that they mattered. We care about them. So that's important. And last few questions here, Coach. What does your dad still coach you on?
What does my dad still coach me on? Well, he is he's a stickler for the offense. It's funny. Like, he was a defensive back coach, but when he became a head coach, he became enamored with the offensive line. And then became a run game guy, because at Western Kentucky, they weren't really getting the quarterback that could throw the ball. So we got a quarterback named Willie Taggart, who's now an NFL
Yeah,
coach and a successful
yeah.
college coach. He's on my staff now. But Willie was a good thrower. He'll tell you that. But he was a great runner. So he put the wishbone in. They ran the ball about 70 times a game. I think they set records left and right. Willie's like the all-time leading rusher in Western Kentucky history as the quarterback, and so he became enamored with combination double teams up to linebackers and scoops and zones and zone reaches and gang calls and all the different
I
stuff that you
love it.
guys do. So he watches our tape, and he pretty much watches the run team period and inside run. And he wants to see how the run game's looking.
I love it because I saw in your press conference when you took the Giants job, you referenced to your dad called it. You talked to him about, yeah, we saw you see the O line how they come off the ball. I love that your dad 87, he's watching the film, advising you. That's great. Then I guess here's another question. What's the best team you ever faced, Coach?
The best team. You know what? I would say the Niners in 2012, Jim's team. That was a great football team. He did a great job of that team. They had it all, man. They were physical. They were creative. They came up so many great schemes. Their defense flew around. They were well coached on defense. Vic Fangio, obviously, and that's when Vic was just kind of getting back into the game as a coordinator, and establishing what he was doing. He was just starting off the system that he's built so well now. Yeah, man, I would say that was the best team. Our guys played great. We got off to a great start. That whole Super Bowl was a crazy game, but that was a great football team. Jim did a great job with that team. I would say
Yeah,
them,
good.
the Niners, by
Yeah,
Jim, the
good.
Jim Harbaugh coach 49ers.
I love it. I love it. And then one word your wife would describe you with.
Oh, I don't know. Besides a pain in the butt, maybe, I don't know. That'd be too many words, wouldn't it? Uh, you know, I heard a great joke. Okay, a great joke about that. So, uh, yeah, I told my wife. I told my wife that she needed to embrace her mistakes. She gave me a hug.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. That's a good one. Well answered, Coach. I like that one.
Feel free to
That,
use that one.
I guess we kind of covered this for your dad, but last couple questions. Best advice you ever got? Could be
Andy
from
Reid gave me
anybody.
great.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a biblical guy, but this kind of ties to Andy Reid had a thing just on his card behind his desk. It said, and you were there, you saw it. It said, "Don't judge, don't judge." As a coach, that was a big lesson for me because that's all we do is judge, so to speak. But there's a difference between coaching and judging, and that was probably the greatest. That really brought it home for me at that time.
Yeah, Andy's the best. I'm happy he's done well and doing well here. And then the last question I had: if you weren't coaching football, what would you be doing? I guess we talked on the transition. You don't know what you would be doing, but if you had to guess, what would you be doing, Coach?
I'd probably be running a landscaping business. I think I'd be selling trees, arbor. I'd probably be building hardscapes, making beautiful gardens. That'd be what I do, cutting grass. I had a coach, Scott O'Brien. You might remember him, a special teams coach. He used to say like he was kind of a cynical guy. I love Scott. And he'd basically say, boy, he said, next year I'm going to be in Arizona doing a grass cutting business. I'm like, Arizona? Do they have grass in Arizona? He goes, that's the point. That's the point.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, Coach, I really appreciate the time. Thank you, and we'll do it again sometime down the road. But best of luck this season. The Giants are better because you're there, in my opinion, and I think big things are heading that way. So I really appreciate you, and the best to you.
Great to be with you, and it's an honor to be on your show. And I know this is going to be a great podcast. You have a lot to offer. You've always been a deep thinker. You've been a guy that's proven it, kind of in business and in football your whole life as a family man. So can't wait to see the rest of these podcasts.
Appreciate it, Coach. Take care. Have a great one.
All right, Jim, you too. See you, buddy.
See you.